We begin THV 11 News at noon with breaking news. A medical examiner has been called to the area where officials are searching for Brian Laundrie. According to our sister station in Tampa Bay, Florida, the Sarasota County medical examiner has been called out to Carlton Reserve, where a human remains detection dog and trainer are assisting police in the ongoing search. The 24-year-old is a person of interest in his fiancee Gabby Petito's disappearance and death. The Laundrie family attorney says Brian's parents, Chris and Roberta, were called out to the location earlier this morning after a search off a trail that Brian frequented. Some articles belonging to him were found. This is a developing situation. We've just gotten these details in the last half hour or so. We will continue to update as more information becomes available.
Now, weather from the First Arkansas Bank and Trust Weather Garden.
It is a gorgeous afternoon outside across the National State. We saw some clouds on this cool morning, but it's rather warm outside right now. Take a look at your temperatures around the state. The capital city now sitting at 74 degrees. It's 68 in Searcy, a little bit cooler there, as is the case in Clinton. 70 in Mena, 79 in Camden. Your forecast for today takes us to 81 degrees. Gosh, that's several degrees above average. And this afternoon, those winds are going to pick up. They're going to be out of the southwest, 5 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to help to drive those temperatures up a little bit more as well. So today, unseasonably warm. However, overnight tonight, a front moves through. It not only brings a slight chance of rain, but it dips our temperatures down for a couple of days. That's before they warm back up going into the weekend. And as we look ahead to next week, we very well could feel a lot more like summer than fall. I'll have your full forecast here in just a few minutes.
Scott, thank you. We want to get to our other top story here at noon. The FDA meets next week to discuss authorizing the Pfizer vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11, with the CDC set to meet the week after that. But the Biden administration says it is taking steps right now to be ready to give shots to kids if and when that authorization happens. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
The White House rolled out its plan to vaccinate children ages 5 to 11 as soon as it's authorized, which could happen in early November.
These vaccine doses will be shipped with all the supplies needed to vaccinate kids, including smaller needles.
The plan is to give the vaccines in kid-friendly spaces, including more than 25,000 pediatric and primary care provider sites, as well as hospitals, pharmacies, and schools. And the administration is planning an educational campaign to ease any concerns parents may have.
We will work with schools to send letters home to parents. We will convene doctors and health clinics and support them in delivering vaccinations as soon as they have conversations with families.
For adults, the FDA could authorize the mix and match of different COVID vaccines as booster shots as soon as today. The White House COVID response team says more than 2 out of 3 eligible Americans are now fully vaccinated, but there are still holdouts, and some of the unvaccinated are willing to lose their jobs. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio announced all city workers have until the end of the month to get vaccinated, or they'll go on unpaid leave.
I'm saying this to every mayor, every governor, every CEO. It's time for these mandates. Finish this war, or we're going to have COVID with us way too long.
Vaccine mandates are impacting first responders in several cities. Los Angeles Fire reports that there have been about 241 separations from the department. Baltimore's police department is down 279 officers, and in Seattle, a group of firefighters marched up the steps of City Hall to turn in their boots rather than comply with the Washington state vaccine mandate. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Back here in Arkansas, Governor Asa Hutchinson is relaxing quarantine requirements for grade school students. Close contact exposure is now defined as students being within 3 feet of an infected person for 15 minutes instead of 6 feet within that person. Secretary of Health Dr. Jose Romero says the decision was made after considering all the factors that contribute to a child's well-being in school.
Children are suffering from not being in class. They have the psychological issues, they have the learning issues, and so we think this is a safe alternative at this time.
Other alternatives to quarantine for students, masks and vaccines. The governor and Dr. Romero hope the expected vaccine approval for kids under 12 will help keep school cases down as well. And let's take a look at our latest numbers. The change in school guidance comes as cases here in Arkansas continue to drop. 661 new infections were reported yesterday. That's down from last Tuesday. Our active cases continue to fall with a little more than 5,800 people fighting the virus. 461 of those are in an Arkansas hospital. And remember, fighting severe COVID-19 can take a while. That's why we are still seeing days like yesterday when we saw 19 new fatalities reported. New at noon, Parkland school shooter Nicholas Cruz pled guilty this morning to all charges stemming from the February 2018 massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. 14 students and 3 staffers were killed in the attack, making it the deadliest high school shooting in U.S. history. A jury will now decide whether to sentence Cruz to death or life in prison. In the penalty phase of the case, where a new jury will be selected, defense attorneys will likely argue that Cruz's history of mental illness is reason to spare his life. Jury selection for that begins in January. Steve Bannon is one step closer to a criminal charge of contempt of Congress. The Trump administration's former chief strategist refuses to cooperate with the special House committee investigating the assault on the Capitol. In a unanimous vote, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack approved a resolution to hold Bannon in contempt. The full House will vote tomorrow on whether to ask the Justice Department to pursue charges. Now to Texas, where investigators are now looking into a dramatic plane crash that turned into an incredible story of survival. 21 people were on board the MD-87 passenger jet when it caught fire outside of Houston. And get this, all 18 passengers and 3 crew members made it off the plane safely with just 2 minor injuries. The NTSB will look for the flight data recorder today, and they'll have an opportunity that they often don't have in accidents like this one, the chance to interview survivors. For years, people have claimed that Social Security is on its last legs. So far, lawmakers have acted to prevent that from happening, but that doesn't mean the rumors stop circulating. So our Verify team is separating fact from fiction. Here's Evan Kosloff.
Social media is abuzz with all kinds of claims about Social Security, and we're here to verify what's real and what's not. This one isn't new, but it's getting new attention, that Social Security will run out of money in 12 years. Let's break down whether that's true or false with the help of our Verify experts. We brought that question to 3 economists. They all told us that this is false.
No, it is not true.
So let's break down where that claim comes from. Social Security is funded by payroll taxes, which come out of our paycheck. And for a while, those taxes brought in more than we needed. So that surplus was added to a trust fund. Now it's flipped. Our payroll taxes are not bringing in enough, so we're reaching into that trust fund.
It's almost like saying, imagine you have $1,000 a month of expenditures, and your primary job only pays you $750 a month. And you're like, I'm short $250. Well, you've got a savings account that you've had up from your working years. So you're now taking out $250 a month to pay up that difference in your expenditures. You keep taking $250 out a month, in the next 10 years, you'll be down to 0. Then what are you going to do?
So we could drain the savings account, that is, the trust fund. But that doesn't make us broke. Remember, we still have the payroll taxes.
It's absolutely false to say that if we did nothing, we would not be able to pay any Social Security benefits. That's not true. But we would only be able to pay, a fraction of what we're now promising, the fraction probably being around 70 to 75%.
Also, our experts say that this could be avoided. Congress could take action at any point to fund Social Security. So we can verify that no, in 12 to 15 years, Social Security payments will not stop. But if Congress doesn't act by then, payments could be less than promised. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kosloff.